Hey, business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 125,000 bonus miles for a limited time through October 29th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends October 29th, 2025.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Spotify. That's greenlight.com/Spotify.
There was literally a book in the 1980s in the US called You Can Have It All. And that's not true. We're going to die one day, which means you only get to live one life, which means you don't get to live all the lives. It sucks that you're not going to get to live all the lives. And I'm not going to pretend it doesn't suck. But you got to get comfortable with that amount of grief so that you can take care of yourself elsewhere.
I'm Carvel Wallace, and this is How To, the show where people ask us the question they can't get off their mind, and we bring on an expert to help them work it out. And more often than not, those people are at a kind of crossroads in life, and today's listener is no exception.
I'm Alice. I work as a film programmer, but my work is really insecure, but I can't seem to quit it, and it's really exhausting me.
All right, so let's get into that. So what do you do as a film programmer?
All film festivals have programs. Currently, I work for actually a documentary conference, so I put together a lot of talks for the documentary community, and I also help curate the lineup for like a bigger international festival. There's quite a few hats, all of which fill my cup. I'm also an associate producer working for a documentary production company. I'm a film critic presenting on community radio. I'm a board member of a local nonprofit film festival. And I'm the captain of a gender-inclusive Australian rules football local team as well.
That's
so
awesome. Wow.
Yeah, there's quite a few hats.
As a cinephile, maybe this is just me, this sounds like a dream job. We have a local museum that's always showing these reformatted films from 1961 Japanese cinema or whatever. And I'm always there, front row in the audience like a little nerd. And then there's always little talks. And I always go, this is what I should do. I should be someone who just sits there and curates films. It sounds like a dream job. To me, is this a dream job for you?
Yes. From the outside, this 100% is a dream job. My mum is a nurse. My dad always worked in supermarkets. I didn't know that this was an option for your career, that you maybe could be paid to watch movies for the rest of your life. That seems unbelievably cool. I sort of stumbled into this in my mid-20s. It's the only thing that's kind of felt good and felt right. The way that movies move us, I'm so fascinated by, especially the way films can change the way we see the world. They affect our bodies. We walk out different people after seeing films. Film is everything. Film is everywhere. Screens are everywhere. There's so much importance and richness in the moving image. And so it really does get me excited. And it's a huge part of my identity as well. It's one of those jobs where I suppose there's no unlinking my work from who I am.
So what's the problem?
You're right.
Great. Thank you for joining us today. This has been How To.
I think why I reached out to How To now is I turned 35 in April. I've recently moved back home to try and get together some savings. I have no long-term savings whatsoever. Any savings I build up, I tend to spend in between the contracts. One thing about film festival work is it's usually seasonal. I don't have a year-round contract. I'd actually got offered what would be a dream job, year-round programming job, but it was in a tiny regional town and I couldn't bear to leave my life behind. So that also really sent me into a spiral and a panic. I did get offered my dream job, but I still didn't take it. So what is wrong with me?
I see. So there's some doubt about the sort of sustainability of this, like the financial sustainability, maybe some stuff specific to your own experience with it. There's just not enough money there. There's not enough work there. Am I hearing that correctly?
You are. I think like any creative job, it is true to say that in this field, it is very low paid, the work is very insecure, and there are very few stable ongoing jobs.
Alice is facing a problem that many people face, namely that the work that she loves is incompatible with the lifestyle that she wants. And if you think about it, a lot of job issues boil down to just that. Like, you love working with preschoolers, but you don't love needing 17 roommates to afford an apartment. You love nursing, but you don't love working 14-hour shifts on your feet. You love curating film, but you don't love having to either live with your parents or abandon your whole community in order to keep a job. And in Alice's case, the problem feels even more acute because it doesn't seem like things will change. There's not a lot of upward mobility or dream jobs out there in her field where she can, quote unquote, have it all. So what does she do? Should she stay or should she go? Or is there a secret third thing? Fortunately for Alice and for all of us, we have the perfect expert to help her think it through. And you're going to meet her right after the break.
Hiring shouldn't be a hassle or a drain on your budget. Upwork is your one-stop shop to find, hire, and pay top freelance talent, saving you time and keeping costs in check. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way they staff key projects and initiatives. Upwork's global marketplace is filled with top talent in IT, web dev, AI, design, admin, support, marketing, and more. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you can connect with freelancers and easily hire them. Upwork makes the entire process simpler and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
Vanessa Zoltan loves telling people to quit. So much so, in fact, that she dedicated the whole third season of her podcast, The Real Question, to that endeavor. Just listen.
It's not just that I think misery is bad, which I do. I actively think that quitting is good. Quitting is a sign that you tried something. It is an acknowledgement that we are fallible. We overcommit. We make mistakes. We or the people we love get sick. We change. Quitting is also, to be honest, an acknowledgement of our mortality. We have to quit things because we can't do it all, because we are going to die one day. That said, I don't think quitting is the solution for everything. I think that promises...
Vanessa spent 2 years helping dozens and dozens of guests on her podcast parse out their next move. And guess what she learned? She learned that quitting is hard, whether you're talking about quitting a job or stopping a habit or ending a relationship. We prioritize grit over giving up. We think the price of success is pain. We think that it's better to push yourself harder rather than to give yourself grace. And it turns out that Vanessa is exactly the type of person who will sit with you and talk about how unbearable this kind of decision can be.
I'm someone who like is only happy if I feel like I'm getting to the bottom of things. It felt to me like, well, I can't be a rabbi, but I want to talk about soul problems. So I found myself at divinity school. I was like, oh shit, this is so awkward. I'm an atheist. And it was just, I swear to you, I did not notice that it was weird that I wanted to go to divinity school as an atheist until I was there. I didn't realize what a specific cultural perspective that was.
Vanessa Zoltan finished Harvard Divinity School and became an atheist chaplain, which is someone who does many of the things that chaplains do. She comforts and guides people through crisis, she allows people to be vulnerable, and she offers care and attention when someone is struggling with the exact kind of problem that Alice is struggling with.
Alice, is there a job in your city where you get to keep your life? Like, is there a vision for your life where you get, quote unquote, everything you want?
In the city that I work in, that's a difficult question. Yes and no. I see the jobs that I like, but the people that occupy those jobs still experience the same pressures that I currently experience, which is long hours and low pay. But there is a job that I would love. It's in government and it's working in funding films, like, because that would be stable. It would be in government, but it would also allow me to continue what I love doing, which I feel like is aligned to film programming, which is making sure vital stories get out into the world. But it's really hard to get those jobs, and they often go to people that actually work in production more so than working in the audience side of things, because I guess once you're in production, you understand budgets a bit better, rah, rah, rah. So I keep applying for those jobs and not getting it. So if you, maybe this can put pressure on them, hire me, please.
I'm so glad you realized that that's actually what Carvel and I can do. We have that kind of power to pull those strings. I mean, I really feel you. I talk to people all the time who are in exactly this place. And I feel like economically, we know this. Things are harder than they were 25 years ago. It feels like this problem that you're up against is actually just a logistical problem, right? And you are going to have to pick which side of the coin to sort of go with. And so what do you value most about your life? You got this great job offer, but you opted to stay. What does that mean to you when you say that your life is there?
I went through a pretty bad breakup a couple of years ago, and it helped me, I guess, you do what you do when you go through a breakup, which is you start reinvesting in your friends and your life. And that's where the Australian Rules Football came in. That's where the community radio came in. I started just reaching out and asking people if I could do the things that I'd always wanted to do. It just feels like in the last couple of years, my life has really become cemented in this city. So when I got this offer to move away, I just felt like I don't want to be isolated. Like, yes, I want my dream job, but I also love my friends and my family and the other things I do. Do you know what I mean? It's like sometimes you look at people and they just work and they work as their 9 to 5. And, a lot of the people that present on this community radio with me and do this film series with me, they just have regular 9 to 5s and film is their passion offline. And I respect that. I respect the heck out of it. I admire it and I envy it, but I seem to not keep making that choice for myself. Do you know what I mean? And so, I love this city, but I can't seem to walk away from my gosh dang career.
Yeah. So it sounds like one of the things that you value most is connection, but another thing that you really value highly is passion, and you want to feel passionate about what you do as much of the time as you can. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of putting it. Work is a huge part of our life. We spend, for me, every waking second, but, for most people, at least 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, you're doing your work. I feel like for me, I want to feel strongly about it. But it is, I think every now and again when I pause and I think about what is it going to look like when I'm older and I've never built up security for myself, and how am I going to take care of myself when I'm older, having chosen this life that I love, it makes me feel sad and exhausted and a little bit fearful. But when I'm in the present moment, when I'm thinking about my life right now, everything about it I love.
Oh, everything about it you love. This is going to sound judgmental. I do not mean it like this. I'm trying to fix my tone. You love living with your parents? Because seriously, I would love if my kids lived with me forever. So if so, what are they doing right? Tell me everything. But seriously, do you love your current living situation?
Okay, no, true. That part I do not.
Okay. Damn it. I was so hopeful. So there are a lot of different ways to look at this, and you know all of them, but I'm just going to say them to you anyway. There's a utilitarian way to look at this and sort of say, I care about where I live 10 points. I care about how I spend my time at work 50 points. I care about connection 40 points. How am I doing across all these metrics? And then looking at that, adding it up and being like, oh my God, I'm getting an 89 out of 100. That's actually pretty good. And then maybe being like, oh, it turns out that I care about living with my parents 20 points. So let me adjust whatever that is, and potentially doing that every 6 months or every year and sort of checking in with yourself. There is setting a time limit with some goals of like, okay, by the time I'm 40, if I'm not making at least this amount of money per year, if I don't have this much money in savings, then X. Or if by 40, I don't have a job at the government, I'm gonna switch careers. So there are all of those like logistical solutions. You brought it here. Does it feel more existential than that? Or would sort of really going through and looking at those logistical solutions be helpful?
I have done some of that values work and I have done some of that points work, but I like the idea a lot of actually putting a time on it and saying, actually when I'm 40, I assume by then my priorities will have changed and it will become increasingly urgent and pressing that I start to build more security, and I see how those values will shift and, or maybe they won't, but I like the idea of putting a time on it and saying this, girl, this is when.
It's not just girl, this is when. It's girl, you don't have to worry about this until. So, and make sure that it's an amount of time that you can stand potentially still not having any savings, still living with your parents, right? Like seriously, right? Like taking a harsh look at your life in that way. And then on the days that you're exhausted and feel sad, be like, but I'm not going to try to change everything. I'm currently on a path and I don't get to start worrying about this until I'm 39.
I love that. Yeah.
Right? Like give yourself some sense of abundance, because it sounds like what you've been doing is torturing yourself. Like this is a decision that you're making every day.
Yeah.
And I understand why, right? Like every time you say yes to a new festival, every time, like this is very present, but you can give yourself like chunks of time that are just full of grace and be like, I'm on a path. I'm trying. It's going to be hard.
Yeah. Oh, time. I know. I need to start carving out time for rest, to be honest. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes me want to ask, is there something, Alice, that makes this feel urgent? Like it has to be solved right now?
I said I didn't want to get bogged down in the sad, but it'll make me cry. I've been burnt out before and I can feel it building in me again. And the last time I got burnt out, I got such bad brain fog. Things got really bad and I couldn't access my brain anymore. And that was scary. And the tiredness that I feel sometimes is like in my bones. And I think a part of that is coming from the lack of security. And so I know that I need to give myself rest. And part of moving back home, I swear it is temporary. It's so that I can just afford to go on a holiday. Because I haven't been on one in years, because every time I'm not working, that's not really a holiday. I'm just sort of trying to survive and find the next thing.
Yeah. as a freelancer, I relate to this so deeply.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
as you know, this is really the experience that I have. Yeah, for sure. And all of my colleagues, everyone I know, everyone I work with, who, you know, those of us who like have pursued our passion, but we have to kind of drum up business for ourselves 24/7, are living in a reality that's similar to the one that you're describing.
Yeah, it's funny that the money piece kind of can't seem to coalesce, and I wish we could fix that amongst ourselves here today. You know? Imagine if this work paid. I don't even want to be rich. I just want a living wage. But
yeah, that's right.
Know?
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Vanessa is going to set down a few key rules for Alice. Don't go anywhere.
Introducing the perfect companion to your morning listening routine. AG1's clinically backed formula is now flavor-packed with 3 new delicious flavors: tropical, berry, and citrus. Start the day on a high note with probiotics that taste like the tropics. Mix it up with micronutrients that taste like berry or citrus. And take it all the way back with the classic, AG1 Original, with notes of pineapple and vanilla. Do your health a flavor, or 4, with AG1 Next Gen, the daily health drink. Learn more at drinkag1.com.
That's the sound of the fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron and the quiet confidence of ultra-smooth handling. The elevated interior reminds you this is more than an EV. This is electric performance redefined.
If you thought goldenly breaded McDonald's chicken couldn't get more golden, think Golder, because new sweet and smoky special edition gold sauce is here. Made for your chicken favorites at participating McDonald's for a limited time.
Welcome back. So before the break, I mentioned that this week's expert, Vanessa Zoltan, is an atheist chaplain, which is a really wild collection of words when you think about it, because what does that even mean? In fact, we thought it was so interesting that we decided to do an entire Plus segment just on that. And no surprise, it turned out to be a really great conversation. So if you want to hear that, you should sign up for Slate Plus right now. You'll get to hear all of our secret bonus conversations, and you'll experience every episode ad-free, which I happen to know from personal experience is a dream scenario. So go to slate.com/howtoplus and find out more. And speaking of dream scenarios, we now return to our conversation with Alice and Vanessa about how to know when to quit your dream job.
Alice, what if the rest looked like working another job for a couple of years? A job with financial security. If you were to make a decision today that for the next 5 years, you're gonna work a job where you like the people who you work with, right? Like, I don't want you to be miserable in the name of security. But if you were to like a job and really feel secure and energized and like you could give way to your hobbies and healthy, right? It sounds like you're afraid that you're about to tip over into a deeply unhealthy place. So what if you weren't allowed to work in film for 5 years? Seriously. You had to take a 5-year break. Unless like you can in the background be applying for these like ideal government jobs, right? Like the kind of job that you would want for 20 years. But if it's not the kind of job that you would want for 20 years, you are not allowed to apply for it for the next 5.
Vanessa, I don't know why that just lifted such a weight for me. I think sometimes when I'm thinking about these choices, it feels like I'm changing the rest of the course of my life. It's hard to view it as temporary. I view it as once I've made this decision, I'm out and I'm out forever. And I don't know if that's founded or not. I don't know if people's perception of me would change if I left the industry behind. But saying to myself, you get 2 years just to, you know, have a summer holiday and maybe clock off at 5 p.m. Sounds really ideal. And I also love the idea of only applying for jobs that I actually want to work in because, whoo boy.
Imagine all the energy you would have from not applying to all the jobs. So it sounds like we've made a couple of rules, right? So you're only going to apply for jobs you really want.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to spend the next however long looking for a job that creates financial security. And once you're in that job for 2 years, you're just only going to be applying for jobs that you would want to have for 20 years in the film industry. But you're allowed to just not work in the film industry for 2 years. How does that feel, though, as rules? You said relief. Does that feel like it would create a little bit of relief?
It does feel like it would create relief to put a timestamp on it, I think.
Yeah.
It still feels terrifying to think about leaving this work for a second, but I'm not sure where that thinking is coming from.
If it's helpful to try and figure out where it's coming from, a couple of things that pop up to mind for me. One is the feeling of like, oh, if I am not in the industry, then maybe they'll forget about me and it'll be hard for me to get work. That's one of the things. Another one could be that feeling of breaking up with someone that you love, even if the relationship is terrible. You still love seeing them, or you love looking at their face, you love texting with them. That's a little bit the way you feel about film and documentary. And another one might just be the identity piece that you've spoken to a few times here, that like you have strongly associated yourself and your identity and maybe even some aspects of your value and worth with this work. And who will you be if you don't have this cool job? If you just have a regular job, will you be boring? These are some things that I think come up for me when I think about career switching. Does any of that resonate with you?
Literally every single word that you said relates. Particularly, am I still interesting if I don't have this cool job?
That I can just tell you yes.
Yes. Good.
I'm
Problem
just
solved.
I'm gonna, like, when you're at Drink 6 months from now, just remember Vanessa said I'm still interesting, and start talking about like gender equity in sports in order to prove it. As much as you love film, that's not actually the only thing that you're interested in. And also, cinephiles are fun to talk to.
I don't know. Sometimes at parties, I feel like people are inching away from me as I talk at them about movies.
There's also just like not even a rephrasing, like a retoning of like, you were like, who would I be if I wasn't in this job? It's like, I don't know. Who would you be if you weren't in this job?
Right.
Like,
right.
We don't know.
But that's an opportunity rather than like a threat.
Exactly. It's like, who is this plant going to be if maybe it's going to get slightly less water over here, but it's going to get a lot more light?
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't know. Let's see if like light is the thing that it needs.
The plant analogy is great because sometimes you move a plant from one spot to another and suddenly it flowers and you're like, I didn't even know this plant had flowers. It
Right.
could be possible that your relationship to film and documentary might change and flower in some kind of way if it were relieved or detached from these material concerns about job, career, rent, etc. It could be that you could find an entirely new kind of love for it, or a new version of that love.
I mean, rest just frees up a huge part of your brain to process without even knowing that you're processing.
So Vanessa knows what she's talking about here because in her own life, she has had the experience that Alice is facing right now. She had the dream job. She saw the limitations of it, and she had to figure out how to change her whole life on the fly.
I graduated with a master's degree in nonprofit management in 2009, and I got this like dream job at a foundation in Philadelphia, and I was giving small grants to like, you know, individuals and organizations I really cared about. But this company couldn't give me full-time work because they couldn't afford to pay for my health care. And I ended up having to quit and go back to my old job that paid me well, and it meant that I could get on my antidepressants. You know, this is pre-Obamacare in the US. And my mentor at the grant-making organization said, is this how the world changes, Vanessa? Is this how it changes you going back to a comfortable way of life? And I was like, I don't know if it changes with me like depressed and sick, right?
Yeah.
Like, I actually think that if I'm going to be of any service in the world needs me like alive. And so I think sometimes choosing security is not to be like overly dramatic about it, but it is choosing life. It's choosing light and water, which we would never ask a plant to not choose. Mm-hmm. We don't ask plants to like sacrifice themselves. If we ask a plant to sacrifice itself to like brighten up a dark corner, it will die. And so I don't know. I feel like giving yourself a chance to lean into the light for a little while. I agree with Carvel. You don't know what will come from that. You haven't tried rested and financially secure in 10 years. Maybe give it a try.
What's interesting about what you say as well is my immediate feeling, again, was resistance. And so then I tried to interrogate it as you were speaking. And I feel like artists and also people in the not-for-profit space are told that you have to sacrifice. If you're going to make a change or contribute to the world or do something valuable, you have to sacrifice, and you should do it gratefully and willingly. And so I felt resistance to you saying rest and take care of yourself, because that feels like I'm betraying the mission of the arts and betraying the mission of sharing stories with the world. But I also completely hear you. The amount of times I've told friends you cannot pour from an empty cup and ignore that advice myself, which I know we all do. I know we all do.
Yes.
But yeah, I love this idea of the possibilities of rest for myself.
So much of what keeps us trapped in situations that don't work is that we're laboring under a delusion in how we see things. We think, for example, that if we don't do this work, then we won't be interesting. Or that if we want to do something that matters, then we have to suffer. Sometimes we just need an outside voice to remind us that there is another way to look at things, a way that we haven't considered. And for Alice, one of those perspective shifts is that she doesn't have to decide what to do with the rest of her life. She just has to decide what to do next. It's temporary, and that's a big difference.
I just want to say again, like, this is a season that you would be choosing, not, a lifelong commitment, right? You're talking about 2 years. And you could apply for jobs where you get to work on budgeting, right? Or other little skills that could make that, government job more possible. It really, I don't know. Rest is miraculous. It's so funny. In religion, we tend to all kind of, at least a little bit, agree with most of the 10 commandments, right? Like, don't murder, don't sleep with your neighbor's spouse, right? Like, honor your parents as long as they're not abusive to you. I would add caveats. But the one that none of us take seriously is honor the Sabbath. Like, it's in the 10 commandments. Rest is in the 10 commandments with don't murder.
Yeah.
As long as you keep your commitment to not murdering, I feel like you're also allowed to take a Sabbath season. You worked for 10 years. Mm-hmm. You can take a Sabbath season.
I'm hearing you preach. Thank you. And it's really nice to hear how you also had to walk away and,
yes,
the reframing of your life and your career. And I guess it ultimately has led you back to where you want to go and work that feels deeply tied to your values as well.
Oh, yeah. It was only from that position. First of all, it was an amazing season of my life. I got into boxing. I was going to the theater. I had really good health care. I don't know. I had the time of my life for those 4 years. And then, I had the space for my brain to figure out that I wanted to apply to divinity school. And it just sort of clicked into place. And when people ask me about, I decided to apply to div school because I'm an atheist, so it was weird, I can't pinpoint the moment. And what I say to them is I just had the brain space to be creative, with my whole life. And it really just was, I kind of had a dumb job. To be clear, I was in a cubicle row and I loved everyone else in my row. But no, I think brains are incredible if you give them everything that they need. I mean, Alice, what I heard you say is, I am scared if I keep working this job, I'm going to get really sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is let's not do that.
But Vanessa. No, I do hear you, and it brings up a lot of fearful thoughts for me. And yeah, I really hope that I'm not sounding too bratty and that this does resonate with people, because I can't quite tell. I do feel like I've gotten everything I've wanted, and yet I'm exhausted. So
you don't have housing security. You don't have everything you want.
Yeah, I know.
You were like, I know I sound bratty. No one listening to this thinks, God, Alice sounds like such a brat. At 35, she can't afford rent. What a selfish jerk. Nobody is thinking that.
Yeah. You know, I think some of that feeling of, oh, but I have everything and I don't understand why I'm unhappy, which is a very common experience, is based on the fact that there's a difference between what we want and what we need.
Yes.
And oftentimes we lose our ability to correctly assess what we need, and it becomes replaced with what we want. This is one of the reasons why people who have a lot of money can still be incredibly unhappy, because you have everything you want. You've got houses and vacations and cars and yachts, and yet you still don't have some things that you spiritually need.
It sucks that you're not going to get to live all the lives, and I'm not going to pretend it doesn't suck. But you got to get comfortable with that amount of grief so that you can take care of yourself elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, the other option would just be to stop sleeping forever, right? And then I could do everything.
I actually don't think so. I think that
if you stop sleeping forever, will be a lot shorter than you think it will be.
Yep.
Touché.
You know, a lot of times what we really need in order to figure out what to do with a big decision in our lives is just time and space. Like space to let our brains rest, to integrate ideas, to see possibilities that we weren't able to see before. And yet, paradoxically, that's the one thing we are afraid to take at these decision points, because we think, quite mistakenly, that everything is solved by pushing harder, by working harder, by obsessing more. So maybe that's the main perspective shift of this episode. Like, you can't make good decisions without good rest. And you don't need to fix everything in your life with the next move. You just have to decide what you're going to try. And it seems like Alice relates to that.
This has been incredibly helpful. It's brought up a lot of raw and tender feelings, but I'm actually excited to kind of sit with those because I haven't been able to get there at all yet. So I'm really grateful to you, Vanessa, and for your help, and Carvel for hearing everything and relating as well. It really means a lot.
It was so great to have you here, and I've really enjoyed listening to you talk about your situation. And I think I do think, even though it doesn't matter because it's true for you, I do think a lot of listeners will relate to this and will therefore be helped by it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's true. I just don't want you worried about that. But of course, it's so relatable.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much.
Are you facing a big decision? Are you in need of a perspective shift? Send us a note at howto@slate.com or leave us a voicemail at 646-495-4001 and we might have you on the show. And if you like what you heard today, please give us a rating and a review and tell a friend, because that helps us help more people. Or even better, you can send this episode to someone who is facing a big life decision right now. If you, like me, want to hear more about what the heck an atheist chaplain does, then do we have a Slate Plus episode for you. And if you aren't already a Slate Plus member, you can subscribe right now on Apple Podcasts by clicking Try Free at the top of the How To show page. Or you can visit slate.com/HowToPlus to get access wherever you listen. The episode is available for you to listen to right now, and we'll see you there. How To is produced by Rosie Belson and Kevin Bendis and Sophie Summergrad. Joel Meyer is our supervising producer. Merritt Jacob is senior technical director and composed our theme music. Charles Duhigg created the show. Courtney Martin is my co-host, and I'm Carvel Wallace. Thanks for listening.